जी डॉक्टर निराशा बिस्मिल्लाह कीजिए, हिस्ट्री सुनाइए।
Patient Shumaila, 40 years of age, housewife, resident of Rawalpindi, married with 3 children, presented with swelling in front of her neck for 25 years. My patient was in usual state of health 25 years back when she developed a small swelling in front of her neck, which gradually increased in size over time. But from last 3 months, she noticed considerable difference in size from a size of a lemon to a tennis ball. The swelling was not associated with any pain. She has complaints of difficulty in breathing and swallowing from last 3 months. There is no history of hoarseness of voice, nausea, vomiting, syncope. There is no history of heat, cold intolerance, weight gain, weight loss, excessive sweating, loose motions, or constipation. She started having menstrual irregularities from last 3 months, for which she had consulted gynecologist as well. Her sleep is adequate, and so is her appetite. There is no history of tremors, insomnia, muscle weakness, or any complaints of double vision. There is no history of palpitation. There is history of palpitations which were controlled after doctors started her on medications 1 month back. But there is no chest pain, ankle edema, or shortness of breath on exertion. There is no history of bone pains, dyspnea, cough, hemoptysis, loss of weight, or jaundice. There is no history of radiation exposure to neck in childhood. She uses iodine mixed salt. There is no history of increased thrust, crampy pain in abdomen or kidney stones, or history of headaches, anger issues, or increased BP. There are no joint pains or skin diseases. Past medical history, she is not a diabetic, hypertensive, or ischemic heart disease, bronchial asthma, TB, or there is no history of recent COVID. She had one C-section 10 years back. Her surgical history is unremarkable. She is currently on tablet Numercazole 5 mg, 3 in the morning, 2 in afternoon, and 3 in evening, and tablet Indrol 10 mg, 1 TDS. She is a non-smoker and a non-addict. There is no family history of thyroid diseases or any malignancies. She belongs to a middle socioeconomic class. A general physical examination on a middle-aged woman of average build, sitting comfortably on.
Ma'am, let's stop over here.
Ji, sir.
Let me give you feedback. Now you've taken a very good history, I would say, because you see, whenever we talk about swelling, it's a standard history. And
Yes,
there are 7 questions which you have to answer. That when was the first time patient noticed the swelling? How he noticed the swelling? What is the progression of swelling? What are the associated symptoms? What was the treatment given to the swelling? And after that, what is the effect of that treatment? And you have mentioned all answers to these questions. So that is a good thing. Other thing is, when you're suspecting it's a thyroid gland, then in history, by the end of history, one should be very clear that what is the function of the thyroid gland, and you have asked the relevant questions which will help you in answering whether it is simple or toxic. Plus, by the end of the history, one should have a fairly good idea that what is the effect of this swelling around the surrounding structures. And you have answered, you have taken history that point also. Then whenever there is a swelling, then what is the cause of swelling? You see, because cause of any swelling, there are only 4 or 5. Either it's a traumatic swelling, or it's an inflammatory swelling, or it's a neoplastic swelling, or it's an infective swelling, or it is metabolic, whatever these are the broad. You have asked questions related to that also. So on this basis, that is a good history, I will call it. Not only it's a good history, the way you are speaking, that is also good, because you are speaking not very fast, because I can understand what you are speaking. So that is good. And although I can't see your face, So I cannot comment upon your non-verbal communication because 80% of communication is non-verbal, which is very important.
Yes, sir.
So it's perfectly okay if you're not saying the face because of the cultural reasons. That I agree with that. So, but if I comment upon verbal communication, then there was a difference in tone also. And I could appreciate that you were pressing and you were giving emphasis on the important points. So this is my feedback to your history. Now you start the examination.
Thank you so much, sir. So a middle-aged woman of average build sitting comfortably on bed.
Ma'am, by the way, if you can talk like that when you have hoarseness of voice, तो जब आपकी hoarseness नहीं होती होगी, इस पर लोगों का क्या हाल होता होगा? I'm just wondering that. चलिए बिस्मिल्लाह कीजिए.
A middle-aged woman of average build sitting comfortably on bed with dupatta wrapped around her neck with vitals, heart rate 72 per minute, BP 110/70, temperature 98 Fahrenheit, respiratory rate 16 per minute. There is no jaundice, anemia, cyanosis, koilonychia, lymphadenopathy, or edema. There is a large swelling in front of her neck, extending from one sternocleidomastoid to another, roughly butterfly-shaped, moving with swallowing, but not with tongue protrusion. There are no scar marks, erythema, dilated veins over neck or upper chest. Temperature of skin is comparable to surrounding skin. Trachea is central. There are 2 palpable nodules on left side and 1 on right side, largest being 3 into 4 centimeter in size. There is bosselated surface, firm consistency, non-tender with well-differentiated margins. Berries, Cocker's, Pemberton sign negative. Skin was pinchable. I could easily get below the swelling and percussion note was resonant over the sternum. There was no cervical lymphadenopathy, no proximal myopathy, pretibial myxedema, or tremors. Eye signs were absent. There is no palpable masses in her skull. Her abdomen was soft, non-tender, no visceromegaly, ascites or shifting dullness, no scar marks, stria, or visible veins. Umbilicus was central. Her CNS, CVS, and chest examination was unremarkable.
Okay. So if you see the history, now history, whenever you're examining a thyroid, then it has components, which one should know. One is the component is seeing the patient as such. अगर आप एक globally patient को देखें, तो देखने में आपको कैसा लग रहा है? One is agitated or not agitated, or one is sitting comfortably. This is one component. Second component in thyroid history is components of hands.
Yes, sir.
Third is component of eye. Fourth is component examining neck from the front. And the last is component examining the neck from behind. So these 5 aspects in the physical examination should be done. So you have covered everything. So you talked about generally, was the patient sitting calmly, or patient was agitated, or patient was nervous, anything of that sort?
Yes, sir. A middle-aged woman of average build sitting comfortably on bed.
So that component first, and you have mentioned about hands, and you have mentioned upon eyes, you have commented upon neck. Obviously, I can't see you anterior and posterior, but you have done the both things. Obviously, that's why you can comment. And then obviously, yes, I can't see you. So you have done, when you were examining neck from the front and from the back, the specific tests, which tell us about the effects of the thyroid on the surrounding structures and so on and so forth. Now we come that how to proceed. Now, yes, by the end of this time, जब तक आपने ये खत्म किया है, तो just on the basis of history and examination, you should be very clear about 2 things. Then I'm going to ask questions relevant to that. I'm just giving a briefing so that people who are listening and didn't have the time to revise the thyroid, they can also understand. Then we'll go to the second point. one thing one should be very clear is, what is the function of the thyroid? Is it normal, or it is hyperfunctioning, or its function is low? Now, since we are surgeons, so therefore, for us, we are seeing majority of the cases, either it will be normal functioning or the function will be more. The technical term used for that is simple, which means the function is normal, and toxic, which means the thyroid gland is hyperfunctioning. इस चीज के बारे में we should have clarity. Not only this thing, then second thing, clarity should be its shape. And there are only 3 shapes of thyroid. There's no 4th shape. Either it is diffuse, or it is multinodular, or it's a solitary thyroid nodule. We should be clear about that. We are going to discuss. आपसे मैं सवाल पूछूंगा. And then about this thing, this is the clinical diagnosis. Then what is the pathological diagnosis? वो कौन सी pathology है thyroid की, which has produced or not produced this disturbance in the function or this difference in the shape? Because unless and until we don't know that, we cannot give a pathological diagnosis. For example, if somebody अगर हम इसकी बात करें, if we are going to talk about that, so it's very easy to diagnose in case of these things. For example, if somebody has a simple diffuse goiter, then the simple diffuse goiter can be either a puberty goiter or it could be a iodine deficiency goiter. If somebody has a simple multinodular goiter, then it has to be an endemic goiter. Very unlikely किसी और वजह से हो. If you are saying it's a simple toxic goiter, in fact, you are committing primary thyrotoxicosis because of Graves' disease. That's the commonest. वो अलग बात है कि thyrotoxicosis वगैरह में भी हो सकता है, but commonest की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं. And if you're talking about the toxic multinodular goiter, then you are committing Plummer's disease or secondary thyrotoxicosis. And if you are talking about is a toxic solitary thyroid nodule, then you are committing adenoma, more or less. And if you're saying simple solitary thyroid nodule, so then you are committing your first diagnosis, the colloid cyst. And obviously, if it's a simple solitary thyroid nodule, simple multinodular goiter, or dominant nodule, and these things, then obviously you can't rule out carcinoma. And if there is an element of inflammation, then you are committing thyroiditis. So that is why it is so important to take a good history in thyroid and do clinical examination, because without that, you cannot tell the clinical diagnosis. And without knowing the clinical diagnosis, you cannot tell the disease, which is the pathology of the thyroid. Okay, now coming back to you, let me start asking question in the same line. So what's your diagnosis?
So on the basis of history and examination, my diagnosis is controlled toxic multinodular goiter on medications.
Okay. Why do you say it is toxic?
So patient was having palpitations, and after taking medications, she is feeling better and her palpitations and other symptoms settled.
Okay. What about her appetite?
Her appetite was adequate.
It
was just palpitation.
What about weight loss?
So there was no weight loss.
Okay. So what you have done very intelligently is, and which should be done, now those are the symptoms which are of the toxicity. If all are not present, what are present, one should tell them.
Okay, sir.
So on this basis, if you're saying toxic, and what about on examination?
On examination, her pulse was normal. There were no tremors and there were no eye signs. On examination, there was no sign or symptoms of toxicity.
There were no signs or symptoms of toxicity. Okay. And what are signs and symptoms of toxicity?
Sir, on examination, her pulse, she was not having tachycardia. There were no tremors. Her palms were not sweaty. There were no eye signs.
And which eye
There was
sign?
no history of.
And which eye sign are you talking about?
Sir, exophthalmos.
What about lid retraction?
So lid retraction, lid lag, exophthalmos. There can be ophthalmoplegia, double vision.
Now, I will like to give you a look. When we are talking about thyrotoxicosis, does this patient had lid retraction or not?
So no, there were no eye signs.
Okay.
There was no lid retraction. Her eyes were normal.
Why do you say patient did not have lid retraction?
So her eyes appeared normal.
What do you mean by appeared normal? Why I'm asking this question is, let me give you feedback is, if you see the normal eye, there is a relationship of the eyelids to the pupil. Upper eyelid, agar aap apni aankh ko dekhen, so that is falling between the pupil and the limbus. And lower eyelid touches the limbus. First sign to appear in thyrotoxicosis is usually lid retraction. And if the upper limbus, if the upper eyelid is not between the pupil and the limbus, you may not be seeing sclera. That is a sign of thyrotoxicosis because there is a lid retraction. And then will develop is a lid lag. Then exophthalmos. Similarly, you are going to define this patient as exophthalmos if you see the white sclera. And you see the white sclera both from the upper eyelid and limbus and between lower eyelid and limbus. That is exophthalmos. Exophthalmos is very late to set. So it's hardly we are going to see exophthalmos nowadays when there's so much facilities and things are available. So now my question is, did the patient had lid retraction or not?
I don't think so.
No, it's not a matter of thinking. You have seen the eyes.
So there was no lid retraction.
Now the problem is this thing is, so we are basing our diagnosis of thyrotoxicosis on one point in history and
yes, sir,
and treatment history. And
sir, on the basis of history of palpitations.
Okay. So what that's what I'm saying. One point in history and this thing. Okay. Well, that point is
yes, sir.
Where which basis pe aap keh rahi hain. Why do you say it is multinodular?
So there were nodules palpable. There were 2 nodules on right side and 2 nodules on left side and 1 nodule on right side.
Okay. And what was the size of thyroid?
Sir, I took the size of the largest nodule and it was 3 into 4 centimeter.
No,
the dominant nodule. I took the size of the dominant nodule.
Okay. And what was the size of the thyroid?
I did not took the size of the thyroid as a whole.
So whenever there is a swelling and when we examine the swelling, that is site, that is size, that is shape. So you have to comment upon the size of the thyroid and One way to tell this thing is that, let us say it is extending from midline to sternocleidomastoid on both sides, something like that, one can comment upon them. So since you are saying why it is not, so you have given the answer yourself. Okay, it is not diffuse because you can feel nodules. And since you have you have used the word nodule, so it can't be a solitary thyroid nodule, because in a solitary thyroid nodule, there is only one swelling and rest of the thyroid is neither visible nor palpable. Now that is irrespective. That could be as large as a tennis ball, but usually it is small. So there it is. So what is the disease? What do you call this thyroid? This disease?
Multinodular. So multinodular goiter.
Okay. And you are saying it's a toxic multinodular goiter.
Yes, sir.
Can you give any name to this disease?
So plumbers?
Plumbers. Yes. Because this is secondary thyrotoxicosis.
Yes, sir.
Because one of the definitions of secondary thyrotoxicosis is this also, that thyroid was not normal. Already there was a problem with the thyroid, and then toxicity has developed into it. So one of that is also there. Okay. Tell me this thing. Was it compressing upon the trachea? Okay, no. Let me start very simple things. Was it shifting the trachea on any side or not?
No, sir. Trachea was central.
And how did you find out?
So on examination, there is a 3-finger test, and I palpated the trachea. It was central.
Okay. And by the way, how do you know this swelling is thyroid?
So it was moving on swallowing, but not on tongue protrusion.
That makes sense. Does it have a retrosternal extension?
So it did not. I could get below the swelling, and the percussion node was resonant over the sternum.
ये दो points अगर ज़हन में आते हैं, so that means it doesn't have a retrosternal extension. Is there any other test in addition to these, which is in fact obviously these two tests are present, so obviously उसमें नहीं होगा. Is there any other test which also helps you in finding out there is no retrosternal extension?
Yes, sir, Pemberton test.
And what is that?
So we asked the patient to raise her arms, touching the face, and there will be congestion and redness and flushing and dyspnea if there is a retrosternal extension.
Well, not touching the face. It is better is to use if you use the word ears, because face is a big structure. Because when one touches the face, then your shoulder joints are vertically up, and that is the maximum time when the clavicle is being pulled up. So therefore the space becomes less, and then that produces these things. Okay. And what do you think is the effect of this on the trachea? Does it has any effect on trachea or not?
So thoracic inlet will get. So I think thoracic inlet will get neuro, and the trachea might compress on.
And do you think this?
There will be tracheal compression.
Do you think that this swelling is compressing?
So she had complaints of dyspnea for last 3 months, but I could not find a retrostellar goiter, or Pemberton sign was negative.
Does she has tracheomalacia?
Sir, her thyroid was of long duration. So she might have tracheomalacia.
Oh, but did you find out clinically she has tracheomalacia or not?
So sorry, I could not comment on that.
Okay. Now, in a quarter, what happens is, you see, if when, by the way, I'm running out of time. So what I'm going to do is, in order not to cause any confusion, so let's stop over here and then we continue from tracheomalacia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording and you have to rejoin again. So it is 11. So after 5 minutes, we are going to start again. So see you.